Trinity was telling Kenzie that Dylan probably won't get over it all fast, but Kenzie doesn't know how to get Dylan out of his head. Trinity and Kayda think that he needs to move on, but, not everyone's going to move on stupidly like Melanie, let's be honest. What's up, everybody? Last night, I believe, was our last Monday episode of this season of Love Island USA. And that's a good thing, because I thought last night's episode sucked. But I guess we still have to talk about it. But yeah, I thought it was pretty horrid overall last night. Like, all it did was remind me how much I can no longer stand some of these couples. And contrary to popular belief, I'm not talking about KC and Titi. I've never said they were a terrible couple, though as individuals, they have either done shitty things or fake things like Titi. But Zach and Kayda, that's a terrible couple, as I've been talking about this entire season. They want to talk about, we've been together since day 3, and yeah, y'all have sucked since day 3. And maybe more importantly, I am so over Melanie and Sincere. A couple I've been talking shit about since day 1 because I knew what was in store for these two since day 1. But let's start with Zach and Kayda's spirals, because even though KC has a crybaby fan base, there is no couple I have bashed from start to finish than Zach and Kayda. Kayda and Zach were upset in this episode being in the bottom 3 from America's Vote. Kayda especially was pretty damn annoying in this episode. I think she really showed her age here with all of her ranting. And while I want to understand that, she's at the bottom for the first time, she feels like she's in this relationship. She really likes Zach. She doesn't understand why America didn't vote them high. I kind of get that. But, she went around ranting about how KC and Titi were voted higher than them. She said that they've been together since day 3. She doesn't understand it. Even Aniya's new couple with Carl was voted higher than them. She's also upset that they only fought a few times and Sincere and Melanie have fought so much. And so, yeah, I get some of her spiraling because these are 2 new couples and a very toxic Melanie and Sincere couple being ahead of her. But she has to realize 2 things. A, Americans vote like shit and are gonna vote Melanie and Sincere out of stupidity because that's the American way. But 2, she needs to realize that her couple is terrible too. Zach really doesn't like her much. So I do wonder how badly Kayda pissed off those other fan bases last night with her rants because she had shit to say about KC and Titi, and we know KC fans are emotional. She had things to say about Aniya and Carl. She had things to say about Melanie and Sincere. Those are fan bases Kayda could be pissing off. She's saying she doesn't know what America sees and what she's missing. Well, Kayda still missing it in this episode because she was acting dumb and oblivious. So I don't think this episode really mended her image to America. Zach, meanwhile, was worried that they could be in the bottom because of him. And it's like, no shit. Does he know that? Because he should, by the way he has acted this season. Later, Zach was upset. Bryce tried to bro down with him and help him out. Zach says he is not good. He is stressed. Zach is confused why they were so low, so he's starting to overthink it. Zach thinks maybe it was his fault because he explored at Casa. Bryce told him that he did what he thought he wanted to do at Casa. Then Zach got into this whole thing about how he is not fully ready to call Kayda his girlfriend. He wants them to be exclusive, but not boyfriend and girlfriend. Bryce rightfully pointed out that the term exclusive is useless. And then Zach, still sad that the public ain't seeing what they've got together. I feel like Bryce tried to give him a good pep talk. And I like that Bryce hates these Love Island terms of closed off and exclusive. I have enjoyed Grandpa Bryce finding Love Island terms to be stupid because it also adds credence to the fact that he was recruited and did not apply to this show, because every Bryce relationship talk, at least, has been realistic lingo, in my opinion, and not Love Island lingo. And he also called Zach out on his bullshit here because, Zach and Kayda have been getting sexual this entire season pretty much. And yet Zach is saying he doesn't want to be boyfriend and girlfriend. He doesn't want to be exclusive. How else would America see that? Like, let's be serious. Trinity and Kayda had a discussion about KC not being at the bottom because he fucked up. He was very fucked up to Aniya, they said, and that yet America put them in the top 4. Well, that's this new acquired fan base that the show has. Kayda kind of doesn't give a fuck, or so she says, because she says that her and Zach are going to be together outside of the show. But then in this episode, Kayda was crying about it, so clearly she did give a fuck. I do think Kayda feels like America hates her. It's too bad that she can't realize that America hates Zach. But, you know, Titi tried to get through Kayda's thick skull because her and Titi had a conversation about how both of them were shocked that KC and Titi were in the top 4. Titi talked to Kayda about how she saw some of the episodes before she went to Casa, and she tried to tell her some of the stuff Zach was saying. The main problem Titi saw was right after Zach and Kayda had sex, Zach was saying he wanted to explore. So I give props to Titi for trying to get through to Kayda here, but it didn't feel like Kayda cared to listen to this. Kayda is standing in her and Zach being compatible. Then Zach didn't get what he wanted to hear from Bryce, so of course he had to go talk to Sincere about the whole he wants to be exclusive but not boyfriend and girlfriend. And Sincere saying he feels in a similar spot, it's just a matter of when. I don't know the difference. I don't know what kind of Gen Z commitment issues this shit always is. But in my day, as a millennial, if we were exclusive, yeah, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. So again, I feel like Bryce, the one millennial, is the only sane one here. Because if there's an extra step between boyfriend and girlfriend that you're calling exclusive because you need more time, because you have commitment issues, why are we even trying? This is exactly why Gen Z complains about dating so much. Because none of this shit actually makes any fucking sense, and everyone has commitment issues. Zach did have a conversation with Kayda. He said he does want to date her properly when they're out of the villa. Kayda, of course, is happy about that because they've been together this whole time, and I guess they're officially dating now. I could just hear the collective groan about these two because Kayda's stocks are so down. Even after the show, if this couple stays together, which they will, Zach's going to drag her down like we saw with some couples last season. I just feel like Kayda is too young right now. She can't be helped. She doesn't see the signs what's in front of her because all the signs have been very clear all season that Kayda likes Zach way more than he likes her. So good luck with that, Kayda. Let's move on. You know, again, I know KC stans are crybabies, but the person I have dragged the most from start to finish has actually been Kenzie, who I have been dragging since the first couple of episodes. So let's do that again right now. But I'm going to go over this quickly because I don't care about the problems between Kenzie and Dylan. But at first they were happy after they won the karaoke competition and it saved them. Dylan is still happy to be there and get another chance with her. Kenzie was confused that Aniya and Carl weren't at the bottom because she basically didn't choose Carl. Carl was her second option. Dylan asked Carl later if he's just sweeping problems with Kenzie under the rug because he can probably tell how America sees Kenzie from the way she has been. Later, Carl discussed this with Kenzie as well when Kenzie asked him about it. So Dylan and Kenzie had these talks about the way Kenzie was moving in the villa before him, and he's scared of getting hurt. Honestly, I zoned out during a lot of this, so I didn't really take good notes. But apparently, Kenzie said something that he thinks she told Kayla before about meeting her family, which made Dylan start to get emotional again. Dylan's a very confusing individual to me, which is why I always say he does kind of match Kenzie's energy. Trinity was telling Kenzie that Dylan probably won't get over it all fast, but Kenzie doesn't know how to get Dylan out of his head. Trinity and Kayda think that he needs to move on, but, you know, not everyone's going to move on stupidly like Melanie, let's be honest. Kenzie whining, playing the victim that she is still getting repercussions from exploring. So then Dylan and Kenzie talked again. He told her how She basically told him the same thing that she told Caleb about wanting to take him home and, see her family, which caused more problems for him because Kenzie doesn't feel like she can keep really reassuring Dylan. If Dylan doesn't trust her, then it's not going to work, which, fair. Kenzie then said that if they met the first day, she would have picked him, but he asked why the gall stuff happened then, and how can he believe her when she has a cycle. Honestly, the way I felt about Dylan confronting Kenzie and holding her feet to the fire is how I feel Melanie should be doing to Sincere right now. Because this entire season, Kenzie has been full of shit. And like I said, I have no idea how to take Dylan. All of this crying that started after knowing Kenzie for just a week is impossible for me to take seriously. I don't know if this was Dylan's way of trying to make sure this is not a thing after the show ends. Like, he wants to make sure they're not a couple after the show ends. That's kind of what it feels like. Because all he did in this episode is kind of make it seem like they're going home next. Pretty easily, they're going to be the next ones voted out. The thing I will say, though, again, is that I'm glad someone is holding Kenzie's feet to the fire. She has overexplored, and at times she did it in a deceiving way, especially when it came to Caleb. And like I said, frankly, this is how Melanie should still be holding Sincere's feet to the fire. But instead, this is what we got from Sincere and Melanie in this episode. They discussed how karaoke was so intimate, the most intimate thing they did together. Melanie is shocked but grateful that America sees their connection, which is why I said, Melanie fans voting for them to keep going is going to just reassure Melanie that she should be with Sincere, even though Sincere is the biggest bullshitter who will continuously cheat on her. So if you are a fan of Melanie, you're actually doing her a disservice. Melanie later told Sincere that he sees her like her best friends get to see her, but she had something to say. She's still nervous about how this looks outside because after movie night, she is afraid. Sincere allegedly feels shame, and he doesn't want to feel that way again, the way he hurt her. Again, I don't believe him, especially when the next things he started saying, this fucking bullshitter started saying about how eventually he sees them getting engaged and getting married. And Melanie gives us a confessional about how this time it seems like Sincere really listened. Or maybe, Melanie, there's just nobody left for Sincere to explore. Anyway, this definitely cemented these two as my least favorite couple left. Yes, even over Zach and Kayda. KC and Titi were upset of Corbin and Parmita being gone. That was Casey's dude, obviously, and Parmita and Titi were close. Now Titi is the last Casa girl. They discussed not being at the bottom. They thought America hated them. Casey says that America sees that they've had their back against the wall. Even when he did stupid shit, TT stuck beside him. TT did think they were going home, but says that they're in this together. TT is glad that America is seeing their connection. And I'm glad that Casey is at least self-aware, because even after this discussion, he is still certain that people out there hate him, and people out there do still hate him. I'm glad that Casey is self-aware. I do think one of Casey's biggest problems all season, and it's been his biggest problem that I have pointed out all season, even in the second week I was talking about how terrible of a communicator Casey is. Many of the bullshit that he did this season would have not been as deep if he was a better communicator. Again, though, they know that they will get hate because Casey knows that he mood fell. They do not realize Casey's incel fan base. And yes, I know, not every Casey fan and Casey voter is an incel. Though some hit dogs were hollering in the comments yesterday. But let me put it like this. As I have covered these past few weeks, it's starting to look like to me, from what I see on social media, that the majority of younger white women this season are going to be voting for Trinity. She has the majority younger white woman vote, while Casey has the majority incel vote. Because no, not all of Casey's voters are incels, but he does have the incel vote. Every woman hating, Aniya hating, man Twitter or Threads account or some commentators, even a couple I've seen on YouTube, that hate on women and hate on Aniya to build up Casey, Those are incels to me. They are KC fans. As for KC and Titi as a couple, I've never dogged them together as incompatible. I do think they were formed on purely physical connection in Casa, though, and we have yet to see them actually have like a deeper conversation, or at least the show is not showing us that. I do think they are compatible, though. As I said in the last episode, and as I'll say in this episode, they seem to have fun together, and I do think that is very important. Melanie is someone in the villa that also sees them as compatible. Titi is happy the girls warmed up to her, although we've also seen Titi be fake. As an individual, Titi has gotten an edit since being in the villa of being kind of fake with the girls. We saw her laughing at Melanie behind Melanie's back. We saw her wanting to talk shit about Bryce and Trinity becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. But Titi has had 2 good episodes in a row, and I hope she's being genuine with the girls, because it seems like they are getting along well, and some of them do have fun with her. What I think Casey, the stans, and the fans of the couple need to worry about is production and how these last 2 eliminations will take place. If it's purely fan voting, Casey and Titi could be safe. But if the villa gets another elimination without a fan vote, or like the top 2 or 3 couples are the only ones safe, and then the couple's got to vote someone out, it's likely Titi and Casey are getting voted out. So yeah, eliminations will depend on how production decides to do these final 2 eliminations before final 4. And if it's production letting these friends on the island decide, I don't want that crying in my comments, Casey fans. I am not production. Take that shit to the Love Island USA accounts. Thank you. Clearly, 2 of the more popular couples, who are Carl and Aniya, and Trinity and Bryce, are not getting edits lately. I think Carl and Aniya have it worse, though, because Bryce and Trinity at least had a good episode Sunday night. But not a whole lot of Aniya and Carl in this episode. She woke up in the morning putting kiss prints on Carl's cheek after putting on makeup and lipstick. And Carl did have some good jokes about Aniya's bedtime attire not being very grandma-like. That did make me chuckle. I do feel like these 2 are getting the Nick and Olandria edit from last season, which is a very subdued edit before the last week into the final week to not let their popularity catch too much fire in time for the vote. Yet, at the same time, I have always felt like this season, the production team has wanted to capitalize on a couple since they fucked up with Nick and Olandria last season. So it would be very ironic to me if Carl and Aniya last long and become popular. Like, I don't think anyone is reaching the heights of Nick Olandria. But production will look stupid if that happens, because they are stupid. I need everyone to realize that, yes, a lot of these cast members are stupid, like Sincere. They are young and stupid, but production is even dumber to me. I think this production team is ass. One of the only things with Bryce and Trinity in this episode was Trinity saying she's scared because she gets attachment issues when she really likes someone. One thing I have noticed with Bryce and Trinity, we don't get a lot of airtime, but when we see them in the background or just these little edits for a few seconds, they have that now that we're fucking excitement in their eyes and giggles on Trinity when they're together. I have noticed that. Quickly, the challenge was to complete secret missions. Every girl had a new mission. Trinity had to get to the guys to say French fries, which I feel like she did pretty easily. TT pulled Carl and Dylan for a kiss in the photo booth. She had to get 2 guys to kiss her on the cheek in the photo booth. She was able to do that with the Casa guys. Melanie made Sincere keep having to get up and get a new drink for her. Had to send him back 3 times. Sent him back and forth. I'm sure Melanie enjoyed doing that to Sincere. Aniya had to get someone to help her find her glasses, and she got KC to do it. This was one of my favorites, because when she approached KC to help her find her glasses, she was like, "You owe me one," and TT made KC get up and help her. I did find that amusing. Kenzie was also amusing. She had to get 2 guys to give her a back rub, and she was able to get Carl and Dylan to do that. I guess Carl has had physical therapy practice in the past or something. So, in typical Kenzie style, she got both guys to do the rubbing at the same time. Kayda got Bryce to help her with makeup, which Trinity gave her the idea to make it Bryce. Trinity was putting some makeup on Bryce while he was blending in Kayda's blush. And then the girls had to get the guys to jump in the pool, which they did, so they accomplished their mission. I don't know what they got from accomplishing that mission, but I guess that was supposed to be our fun challenge for the day. Trinity and Bryce did talk about how she picked the right guy to help with the makeup, and then after jumping in the pool, Bryce's hair was wet, and he thinks he looks old as fuck with his hair wet. Honestly, that's how we all feel, or at least that's how I felt when I entered my 30s long ago. At this point, everything starts to make you think you look old. Bryce, however, now that he's in his 30s, I need him to cut his fucking hair. Maybe grow out some facial hair too. I think he would look better and less chopped, as he says, or as you young kids say. But yeah, that was this episode. Outside of Kenzie drama and some Zach and Kayda drama, it was not great.